Well, today on Nation, a window cleaners podcast, we are talking all about high-rise, how to get into it, if you should get into it, let's do it safely. But I got somebody who knows a thing or two about high-rise to be on the show. So if you're a window cleaner or thinking about getting into window cleaning, stay tuned to WCR Nation. What's up, everybody? Jersey here from windowcleaner.com, and you are here. What is up? If it's your first time here, have a look around. This show is now going on its 9th year. Every single week we've done a podcast, 30-minute or more. Go back, watch, listen. It's anywhere podcasts are found. Spotify, review on Spotify. Leave comments, do all that stuff because it helps and very much appreciated. Also, I'm a rep for windowcleaner.com, so if you need anything, you know my number, but it's 862-312-2026. And today, we're talking all about high-rise stuff. And I thought, you know what? Who do we get on that knows a thing or two about high-rise? And only one person came to mind. What's up? How are you, Fletch? If nobody knows who you are, tell us who you are. You're like world famous, so they probably know. But if they don't,
I don't know. Some people know me in our industry. I like that. That's a blessing, man. Nothing makes me smile more than when I'm randomly out and about and another random window cleaner is like, hey, I know you. You know, that makes me happy. It makes me smile. I enjoy that. Yeah, man, I'm Fletch, run S&K Building Services here in Nashville, and we're just smacking the glass, man. It's cold out here today, like 29 degrees.
And it's way colder when you're up on a building. Let's just be honest. That updraft and everything is, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, it's kind of nasty today. I've got these guys, we're set up to do interiors for probably the next 2.5 weeks. Going to try to ride this out, slink some more in there towards the end of February to hopefully get us right into the front of March. And then it's back to nonstop or repelling whether it's cold or hot.
Yeah. Well, then it's the other problem. I'd almost rather it be cold. You may not be able to feel your fingers, but at least you're not getting heat stroke on the glass, you know?
I've always been the type, like me and John talk about it a lot. Like about 2 weeks ago, it got real cold where we got down to like 22, 23 degrees, and the wind factor was even more than that. And most of the guys that work for us took off. It was just too cold. And I get it. If it's cold, it's cold. But me and my operations manager, John, we were out there doing a construction clean by the two of us. And he was just like, man, how are we the only two that came in? I was like, we were built different, man. I said, the man who built us, you know, it was, you get it or I don't need you. You know? But at the same time, it goes to your point. The cold weather seasons, the longer you do high rise, it's my favorite time because I'll bundle up, dude. You know, I'll bundle up like the Michelin Man, and I'll just slowly start peeling layers if I need to where it's like if I'm on the side of the wall and I'll be next to my buddy, he's over there like blowing on his hands like cold. I'm over here like taking my beanie off because I'm sweating because I got a heated vest on, multiple layers. Like I gotta take one off to cool a little bit.
Yeah.
But in the summer, you're just torched, man. There ain't nothing you can do.
They usually don't call you back if you're naked on a chair, you know, in the summer because it's so hot, taking layers off. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're not too kind about that.
No. Well, you know, everybody wants to talk kind of high-rise in this side of things, and I get that call quite a bit where people are like, hey, I want to get into high-rise, just sell me the gear, and they don't do the training, and they don't realize what it takes to get into that, or if they even should. So I thought, of all people to ask, you would kind of know that, and you're, you know, in the world of high rise, I think you're kind of king right now as far as, you know, content goes and stuff, and people have seen you. You've been doing this for how many years now? Do you need a calculator?
Going on eight now.
Nice.
That's crazy. We're stepping into the 8th year now, like starting the 8th. So that's wild to me that it's gone by so fast, man. Yeah. But honestly, dude, it's because we've been going nonstop. I mean, I was blessed, man. I really was blessed to get hired on with the company I started with because they've been doing it for over 40 years, the two twins that were running the company, and they had learned it from their family who have been window cleaning. So it's like legacy passed on.
Right.
So when you're learning from people like that, you know, they're stuck in quality. They're stuck in traditional good ways, teaching you the correct way. And that was a blessing for window cleaning. But however, when you talk about getting into high rise and getting started and getting training, my first day ever going over the wall, I fell,
Yeah.
and that's because I'd only been cleaning windows for like a week. And I really wanted to rappel really bad. I'd been on the ground watching my best friend and these other people do this, 15-story building. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to
Yeah.
do that. And so my boss at the time, he was like, well, I don't really have a lot of gear. I had two different people quit. Their gear's on this building. Their gear's on this building. If you want to go get it, you can. I went and got it, man. And my buddy John basically taught me the basics at the top. And I went over the wall. He told me to wait right there. I didn't listen. I started going down. Next thing you know, I fell out of my chair and he had to rescue me. But that's the thing. It's like I'll randomly have flashbacks to that, of me being skinny as a pencil, man, and in like an extra large harness hooked up from my back on a 6-foot lanyard. Like I see half these guys. I'm a call out icon for that. With their guys on these buildings, on 30 and 40-story buildings hanging up from their back. Not one of them has self-rescue gear on them or rescue gear to rescue the guy next to him if something happens.
Yeah.
That tells you none of them are trained right.
Right.
Which that's not a shot at the guys. I was the same. I was the exact same. It's never a shot at the guys. It's a shot at their employers for not caring about them,
not giving the training to
properly.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like if they train their guys properly and start doing things correctly, they could just charge more and balance that out. But they choose not to. But it's like seeing things like that, dude. It's just too many people are going to get hurt, man. And it's like if you go and you look at some of my older content, there's one video people always call me out on. They're like, oh man, he's scared. He's nervous right here. It's like you can hear it. It's like, yeah, dude, you can hear my breathing through my chest right there on that setup.
Yeah.
And it's not that I tell people all the time, I was like, yeah, this job, you're going to get scared. You're going to have to deal with fear. And it's one of those things where you have to look fear in the eye and be like, okay, I'm either going to let this take over and win, or I'm going to mentally be stronger than this. Listen to the fear, listen to why I have it, because it wants me to be aware of the dangerous situation I'm in, be aware of what's going on, and take it serious. That's what fear is for. But too many people use it to scare them. But it's like, I can hear it. There's one setup on the alcove where you got to jump over this pulling glass that's like that thin and put a ladder up on it, jump over it, then connect to your lines underneath on a ledge that small. And my breathing, you can hear it until I actually get in my chair and get set and get on the wall. It's high.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm afraid of falling right there. It's that I was afraid if I fell right there, nobody I was working with knew self-rescue or knew how to help anyone else. And I didn't either. So it's like in my head, I'm like, if I slip right here and I'm hanging on my safety, I don't know how to get out of it. Nowadays, I can go to a setup and think in my head, if this happens, this is what I'll do. If that happens, this is what I'll do. Right. And it's just like to have that knowledge is so important. And you got a lot of guys out there that don't have it.
Yeah.
And that sucks to see.
It
sucks to see.
That's the difference too between fear and having a respect for the height. Like, when we did high rise in mine, I had a guy, his name was Ben, super nice. He was so excited. Every time we do anything drops, he didn't get the first training batch, but he wanted to get, and I said, you'll probably never jump, like ever. And the reason was he was too excited. Like that's when mistakes happen, when you don't have a respect, not a fear, but a respect. You have to understand everything that's coming in and then understand the situation.
And you're right. The minute you don't respect the dangers of this industry is the minute somebody gets hurt. That's exactly it, dude.
It's when you don't put your pins in the rig. You don't put your gear on the right way. I mean, there's all these little things that, like, again, you've done enough OSHA stuff, but there's a lot of things that are out there that the issues that have happened always involve OSHA. So there's always pictures. And you watch some of this and it's like 99% of everything is because somebody did something wrong. It's not because the thing is not safe. It's because somebody rushed through something and wasn't paying attention and they did something wrong. That's almost always what the issue is.
And that's like half the time you see those swing stage accidents, dude. It's like you'll see some stages come loose and it's smacking into the building and the guys are hanging there. And later on it comes out like, oh, they were in 25 mile per hour direct wind or gust come in. It's like, why were they in that? And it's like they shouldn't have been in that. And like that's where it gets to me sometimes. It's where it really gets to me because I'm the type where it's like, I'm never going to tell someone to do something I won't do myself.
Right.
I'm never going to have you do something I haven't done myself, or I'm not willing to do myself. And furthermore, I'm never going to tell someone, if you're scared of the conditions or something like that, like, no, you got to do this. You're going to go. Because I've had that told to me where I was second guessing conditions and was told, well, if you can't do this, I don't need you.
Yeah.
And there's multiple times you get caught up in a bad situation that could go sideways. And it's just like, there's sometimes you really got to think about that. But that's the double-edged sword, because we have a lot of high-rise guys, dude, in our industry. Dude, they're working for what they can get. Most of
Yeah.
the guys I know in our industry, high rise is the least paid. You know what I mean? You
It
can
is.
make the most money on 3 and 4 story water fed pole buildings all day long. And it's like, it's unfortunate because a lot of these guys, they're either paid a kind of low hourly rate, or they are paid on commission rate with no benefits, no insurance, no holiday pay, paying for all their own gear. So it's like, when they do miss, it hurts them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
they're already battling with the elements. So it's hard, dude. It definitely takes someone mentally strong to do this work, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you got to grind to make it in this industry. You
Yeah.
really do. You really do. It's not one of those things where I've got some people that I'm friends with that, follow me. And one of them, he was like, man, I really want, 30 an hour. And this company's not trying to give me 30 an hour. And I was like, listen, man, I said, this is going to hurt your feelings. And I don't mean it to. I said, you're not worth that. I said, I'm not saying you're not worth it as a person. I'm saying what you can produce on a building, you're not worth that because of what the market is.
Right.
Okay. And it's not saying that you're less, and like everyone thinks like, I'm hanging off the side of the building, I should make crazy money. But it's like, let's just take this tower, for example, and say it's a $21,000 tower. You run that at 33% labor, you got $7,000. It's taking you about, let's just say for easy math, 8 days or 10 days for 4 guys to get that done. On average, if they're all doing the same amount of work, it's like $225 a day in piece rate, right? Some guys are probably going to be making 300, some guys are going to be making less, but it's piece rate. And the thing is some people will be like, oh, I just feel like I should be making more, and it's just like, dude, the numbers don't work that way. If you
Yeah.
try to factor it out, instead of doing 21,000, you try to do 24. Well, guess what? You already had 2 other companies trying to underbid you at 19 and 20. They
Yeah.
just liked you, so they were going to go with you, but now they're not because you're that high. And so it's like, it's hard, but that's where the market's at. And then you have people that live in these high rises or buildings. They're like, I think y'all should be making $1 million an hour. It's like, well, if I made that, how much do you think it would cost you to live here?
Right.
They would have 0% occupancy in this tower.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all a numbers thing, and it's just things people don't understand. But it's same thing I told that guy. I was just like, dude, I said, at the end of the day, I said, do you know how to do transfers? Do you know how to do overhangs? Do you know how to do a zero, period? How efficient are you at rigging? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He was like, no, I can't do those things. I said, exactly, man. I said, this is not me being rude to you or being
Yeah.
ill towards you. I said, it's me being honest with you about where the market's at, what you can actually produce. I said, it all comes down to mathematics. I said, whether you're getting paid an hourly rate or a piece rate, everything can get broken down into numbers to
Yeah.
find a true number.
Right.
And so it just is what it is. It's a hard pill to swallow for some people. But
They see the big buildings though, and if you don't do high rise, you go, "Oh, dude, they're making," and it's like literally that is the bottom of the,
Yep.
not the bottom of the rung for the person, like you said, but for the amount of money that they're making, it's
Yep.
the lowest. And it actually has. I mean, you have to know what you're doing, but we were talking like, I mean, high rise itself is so much safer than a ladder, and everybody's on a ladder all the time, and they don't even get trained on that, right? But in the
Right.
sense of it, it's just like, they are doing something that's terrifying. People think they should get more, but they just don't. It's just like you said, the numbers just don't work. But if
Yep.
somebody does and they've worked the numbers and they think it, like, what do you think somebody who owns a window cleaning company, like, how do they get, like, what do they have to think to get into it? Like, what are the things that they should look at to see if they should start doing high rise for their company?
Honestly, I go after high rises because the notoriety. You know what I mean? If you're in your city and you are one of the big companies. You know what I mean? You've got the big towers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you can maintain those, you know what I mean? You can maintain anything because
Right.
they are the hardest to maintain. They are the hardest to do correctly and make look right and deal with the elements, deal with the conditions, have your guys repelling correctly. It's like a lot of people don't think about that stuff, but it's like when you're on a 30 and 40 story building and this is the wall and y'all start here, you make it halfway through the day, then the winds start going this direction. Well, you've got to get off that wall because if you do another drop here, it's going to blow all that dirty water onto the clean glass, right?
Yeah.
It's same scenario. You got four guys dropping right here, and the wind's blowing this way. Well, you're going to want your slowest person, what is it, at the end over here. You're going to
Right.
want your fastest one at the bottom, so they're staggered out. So it's blowing that way. It's like you really have to get technical and mathematical with it, And there's like a lot of people that will just work in the sun because they don't want to flip walls and just do shitty work. But man, it's just high rise is great and I love it, but you have to have a passion for it. You have to have a
Yeah.
passion for the buildings, for repelling them and for working them because it's like you can take like that same $21,000 building I used for example. It took about 2 weeks with four guys, give or take. Let's say that. It took 2 weeks. You can make that same group of four guys. I ran a $4,000 job in 1 6-hour day. You know what I mean? So it's like
Right.
you do the math on that. Okay, you want to make $21,000 in 10 work days, or do you want to make $40,000 in 10
Right.
work days? And you're paying $2 less per day in labor, an hour per person. So you're paying $10, 10 hours less a day. So you're saving 80 hours of labor and
Yeah.
made double the amount of money.
And you
So
don't
it's
have
just like,
insurance on that.
yeah,
The
yeah,
liability,
man.
compliance, insurance, all the other stuff that you don't have with anything else.
It's
It's
crazy, but
yeah.
it's nice if you're gonna get into high rise. Like this is the best way I can put it, and this is what I always try to tell my guys. I'm just like, what y'all need to realize. I said, is every building matters. I don't
Yeah.
want anyone to ever have it in their head. They're like, oh, this is a little crummy building. It doesn't matter. Your work matters. No matter
Yeah.
what building you're on, it matters. All right, but it should matter to you first and foremost more than anything. But if it doesn't, you should at least keep in mind that property manager who's over that 2 or 3 story building, she's probably also over a 30-story building, but she
Right.
wanted to see your work on the 2 or 3 story building to see if you were worth risking putting on her baby. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
And
Right.
that's the thing is like they're gonna test you. If you can't do good work on a small building, why are they gonna put you on a big one?
Yeah.
But you've got to be competitive too. So it's like in schedule savvy. So it's like whenever I schedule a high rise, if I've got one that I know, all right, the numbers are going to be kind of tight on this one, and it's like it's not great. We really got to push it to get it done. I'm going to try and throw in a good paying water fed job around that same time that I could run at a lower percentage and take some of that into the high rise job to pay
Right. Right.
correctly sometimes if it's under bid. And so it's just like, and for me, sometimes things may not be underbid, but in my head, as a high rise guy, I'm just like, no, that's underbid. Should be more,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like that's just me because I do the work sometimes, and I have to remind myself of the market and who I'm competing against. And it's just like, if I charge what I wanted 100% of the time, I wouldn't get any contracts.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I wouldn't.
As somebody who's been in this so long, though, do you think that that'll ever change? Do you think that high-rise pricing will ever get there, or do you think there's just so much crappy companies out there that are willing to trade a dollar for a life kind of thing that it just won't change?
If we can get safety standards enforced and certifications enforced
Yeah.
and educate property managers and get this in our industry more, it will come up. The thing is you've got a lot of high-rise property managers. There's a few I work with that they've told me, they're like, hey, you are like, 20% higher than the next guy. I'm just like, yeah, I know. And this is why. They're like, no, we're going to go with you. They said, because we know the quality of work you do. They said, and the safety standards you bring. And it's because I try to have that as a conversation. And it's not that I'm ever trying to downplay another company, but it's when I come to do a bid, I'm like, this is my safety plan. If something goes wrong, this is my rescue plan. These are the certifications all my guys have. I bring that without asking. Now, when they ask this stuff they don't even ask for other contractors, but half the time they're going to see, okay, this guy's coming prepared. He's coming with everything. Or it's also going to make them ask these other companies, hey, do you have this plan? Do you happen to have that?
Yeah.
And it's just to educate them is going to help a lot. lot because property managers, they are so busy. They are so busy. They've got so much going on. And let's be honest, they've got their own industry, and most of them are under the impression the contractors they are hiring are on their their industry. Okay. And so for me and the organizations we're with, we've been trying really hard to push safety and educate property managers. And for me, and this is what I've told my company and everyone from day one, I don't care if me going out there and preaching safety, preaching that you need to do your due diligence on who you hire. I always tell them, it doesn't matter if you go with me or not and my company. Please don't go with a company that's going to risk lives. Right. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't care if you go with my biggest competition in town who's actually doing things correctly as well, as long as you're going with them and doing things right. Because at the end of the day, if you can take these contracts from these shitty companies and take their guys, eventually you're going to put them out of business. Right. So if you can take the guys and take the contracts, you'll put them out of business and grow and do it right. So that's my mindset, is just to take care of the guys, and if you take care of the guys, they're going to do good work on the buildings, and that's all going to come full circle.
Yeah. And if there's guys out there that are still hanging on like 5-gallon buckets of concrete, and you hire them because they're cheaper, like, then that screws everything else up. And you go, okay, yeah, I'm 20% higher, but I wear a lanyard that costs me $500, or whatever. It's like the other guy's got nothing, the unfortunate part is to be safe costs some money. Right. And that's where you get into training. I know you're big in training. I've gone through Jeff Scott, Green Safety. I've gone through his training twice. It's amazing the way he teaches. But just to go through it and to see all of the things without the panic, right? Like self-rescue and rescuing your another guy on another rope, but on your rope and down your rope and all that stuff, but not be, you can train that and watch videos, but when you actually do that stuff, that's where that training comes in. If the other guys aren't getting trained, obviously it may not matter unless something bad happens. But if you fall off a ladder at a customer's house, it doesn't make the news that Sue Jones has had a ladder. But if you fall in the AT&T building, guess what? It makes national news that a window cleaner fell in the AT&T building, and guess what? Now AT&T and that whole building is now under, now the property manager is getting fired because they hired you, and now they're getting bad press. For them, they're just
it goes all the way up, dude. It goes all the way up, and
they're just
that's the thing. You talk about Safety Green, and that sticks out because Jeffrey Scott taught this one guy named Nico in my city years ago. And before I had hired Chris on for my old company, he got trained with this other company. He started with this other company, and Nico worked there. And Nico taught him self-rescue, right? And he had only worked with him for about a month, but that's what he learned from him. Yeah. Dude, about 2 years or so go by, with Chris working with me, and I'd been teaching him window cleaning, teaching him overhangs, transfers, all this stuff. I didn't know self-rescue. I didn't know tandem rescue.
Yeah.
Came onto a building one day, man, at the top of the building. We're at the top, man. His descender, he's using some 4-in-1 that none of us had any idea of. I still never seen it before. Thing jammed up and jammed open. You know what I mean? So we're sitting there at the top of the wall, dude. He just starts going, and he grabs his rope, hold on. This shit slid down. It's down like on his waist. He's just trying to hold on. He's like, dude, I can't get it to stop. I couldn't do anything. We're at the top, I'm tight, too. And I'm just sitting there making eye contact with him like, dude, can you try to fix that? Can you try to fix that? And he's like, nah, dude. And dude, he's trying to hold on. And for a couple minutes, and his strength eventually gave out, dude. And I watched him let go, and he dropped about a story and a half till it caught. And by the time it caught him, I was rappelling down the same time to stay with him and got right with him. And when, once his safety caught him, we were actually able to unjam that descender and get him back in his board. But it's just, that's case in point, had something happen to him right there. I didn't have that. Even I had done the biggest buildings in Nashville for years. Name a more technical building, running with a heavy hitter of a crew. And none of us knew self-rescue. None of us knew tandem rescue. And it's like, that day, had he been knocked unconscious or hit his head, we would have been calling the fire department, and it's just like that's
best case scenario. Understand, like a lot of people, even if everything works right, and say a main line breaks and you're in your harness, if your harness isn't on right, your harness will kill you, and you're still up there. Yeah. Like people don't understand that the safety part is not just the whole cliche, like, well, if I fall, I have a safety line. Like there's so many other things that can happen. You've seen people who've gotten their hair caught in it. Well, now
Oh
you're
yeah.
scalping yourself up there. Now, if you're bleeding and you're stuck, what happens? Like, there's so many pieces to that puzzle.
And the safeties people use, and you'll see them all the time. I was notorious for it too, dude. As in some of my old content, you'll see I'm on that 6-foot lanyard, and my safety, I'm sitting in my chair. My safety's literally down past my knees. You know what I mean? On a 6-foot
Yeah.
lanyard. So
Yeah.
it's just like if I was to fall and the safety I was using, I probably would have freaked out and grabbed it and kept it open, and it's
Yeah.
that much lower if I
Yeah.
could have got it, or it would have beat me to the ground, or it had that much tension, it would have just snapped by the time it did engage. I'd be going too fast, it would have
Yeah.
snapped it. So it's like
Yeah.
it should always be placed right above you so it grabs immediately and
Yeah.
quickly, and there's not so much tension and force of the speed added to
Right.
it.
Right. Think
But it's
about a
just
12-foot fall. You have your 6-foot lanyard down below you. That's 12 feet. You slingshot into the building. Like, even with a great
yeah.
helmet and everything else, you're breaking stuff, and that's best case scenario. That's if it
Best
grabs and
case.
everything else.
Yeah, dude, it's best case, man, and that's the thing. It's just you can do this career really safe if you do it correctly. But the
Yeah.
thing is like there's not a lot of room for error.
Right.
It's like it's a very safe career when done correctly.
Correct.
That's the biggest thing, man. And I've seen. I could sit all day and go on you things I've seen, accidents I've seen, almost accidents, near misses, near
Yeah.
stuff, and 9 times out of 10, dude, when I get back and I analyze it in my head or look back, it's just like, well, had we had more training in this factor, that would have prevented that. Had we were doing this, it would have prevented that. It's like, they always say hindsight is 20/20, and that's true, but it also goes to tell you, okay, but if I was training these things from the beginning, it would already be in people's heads.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I don't know, you know better, you do better.
Right. And that too, every time we talk high rise, everybody that you talk to about high rise that has done a bunch of high rise, they're like, oh, I'll get trained, but I'm going to jump these buildings first. And it's like, don't do that. And they're like, well, no, I think it'll be, and it's like, why every pro says that is not because stuff happens all the time. It's because you make the entire industry look bad when you didn't go and do what you're supposed to do and get trained and know what you're doing. Now you're just some guy who's like, no, I bought this gear and I jumped off and now something happens.
Yep.
It's like, A, I don't ever want to see a life lost, obviously. But B, is because of your negligence, it affects the entire industry. You have to be smart to do this or don't do this, It takes time, it takes money, it takes training, it takes all that. You can't jump a building for the first time because you bought equipment yesterday to tomorrow. You have to go and get trained. Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I booked the job. That's your fault. You did the wrong thing. You have to go through the steps in the proper way.
Yeah, the amount of people I saw over the years that would start kind of like I did and not last a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, it was like a 10% success chance that someone would make it. And it's just like, I feel like if you do the proper training, the difference that makes, because I've got some content of when I was helping Michael Draper teach a class. And dude, one of these kids, when I was teaching him, I got him in the harness for the first time, and I tell this story pretty often, and he was real nervous, and I'll never forget, he was so small, he's short, and he was just a real small, kid, and I grabbed his line once he was at the center and just I yanked him probably like 1.5 feet off the ground with one yank, and he was just like, oh my God, and got like scared, but by the end of that class, I've got another clip where he's climbed up almost 3 stories and is hanging upside down, having the time of his life, and he already knows, he had already learned how to self-rescue himself if his main line failed, how to get down on that other one. And this kid was scared an hour before, so it's like, and he had learned something in that 1 hour that I didn't learn for almost 6 years in this industry. And that's wild. That's wild.
Well, I'll tell you an interesting story. The first time I ever did high rise was with Jeff, actually, on a building, and I was doing training with him. So I went through the training stuff, went off a building. It was a 13-story. It was tiered, so I had a couple parapets to kind of go over, which I thought in my head would be even more helpful. But first drop I did, nervous as all get up, right? Get to the bottom. This is before he actually had a facility, so the training was different, Got to the very bottom, got up on the next one and forgot we were talking about this, I was using a rack and I forgot to lock it. So I get on and I'm leaning over the edge and it keeps sinking down. And I'm like, man, this rope stretch shouldn't be this much. And I realize as I'm like, fingertip grabbing on that I forgot to lock the rack and I'm trying to pull my fat butt back over the edge. And that ruined it. I ended up doing that jump again. I finished that run and I could not step over the edge for anything. Fast forward to other jobs that I worked with Jeff even on, 4-story building. I could not physically get my leg over. It was the weirdest mental thing I've ever gone through. Go now into doing his training again. And he knew the issue. He knew that I was froze up. I couldn't do anything. I was there to get footage, but went through the entire class. No joke. After the first day, I went over the edge like no problem. I mean, it was just to have the ideas and concepts and know, okay, here's everything to some degree that could go on. And here's how you fix all that. All of a sudden your brain goes, oh, okay. Like now I know what I go through my procedure before I jump over. Here's what I do the procedure if something goes on. Here's, if this scenario, like all of those pieces have to happen in order for you to be comfortable with it. And like you said, then all of a sudden it's like, no problem. You're hanging upside down. You're like, I know this because I understand what's going on,
Absolutely, dude. I mean, I was teaching some transfers the other day, like I was talking about how to come down on the building, go left to right and work that way. With these climbs, I got 2 guys that they know how to climb and they know how to use descenders and stuff. And I was like, do y'all know how to do like sprat techniques and work with 2 descenders at a time? And they were like, no. I was like, well, I got some climbs coming up. I said, I want to teach you guys this before we do them. I said, so it makes these jobs a lot easier for you and you'll be more efficient at it.
Yeah.
And so I got them into our shop where I've got some ropes put up to teach them. And they're like, these are experienced guys. I was like, man, like this kind of seems like a lot. And I got up there and showed them how to do it. And they're like, oh my God, that seems easy. Then I got them up on a rope and had them do it. I was like, theoretically, I said, you're safer when you're doing what I'm having you do. I said, because you're actually on 4 lines instead of 2. I said, you're going to stay connected the whole time and just work left to right, then down, then left to right.
Yeah.
And taught them how to do that, then come off one to center and get on the other, how to do all that. And it's like, going into it, both of them were like, man, this is going to be hard. This seems like a lot. This seems like, like transfers, what I mean? Multiple descenders. That seems like a lot, and then it's like, you actually learn it. It's like, oh, this is easy. This is actually like, it is more technical, but man, it's actually going to make the job a lot easier and me more efficient, knowing this little piece of knowledge that I was almost a little scared of learning and doing, what I mean? So it's, it all helps.
On paper is different than in reality. So anyway, you guys, everybody that is watching this, if you've ever asked about gear, yes, I absolutely can sell you the gear. Great. But get trained. Training is absolutely, to do it right, not only are you doing yourself and everybody that's going to work under you a favor, it's doing the industry a favor, genuinely. It's just, it goes without saying.
And like you said, definitely hit up Jeffrey Scott. He's great. But my mentor, and you already know, I call him my mentor just because he took an interest in me when I was at the lowest point of my life, man. I had a broken femur, was down, was not working, and that man, Michael Draper, dude, he came in like a gift from God and was like, hey, I want to use you to help change our industry. I want to help make you better. Yeah. And it's just like the things he does is so great. And it's like I was talking to him last night. He's coming down to my office like next week to work with my guys some.
Nice.
And it's just like to have that and have people involved with you and people and you care, not only does it make you safer, but as a technician and as someone in this industry, the more you know, the further you're going to go. So if you're with a company that's wanting to teach you the bare minimums, go learn that on your own and go to another company and make better money.
Right.
A lot of these companies, especially the real big ones, they want to teach you just the bare minimum of getting over the wall, rappelling, and cleaning a window so they can keep their thumb on you and keep you right where you need to be. Right. But the minute you actually branch out and learn more and do your skill set, you realize how much more valuable you're going to be.
Right.
So that's the only thing I can tell most guys.
It's the story that everybody keeps saying too in the industry as far as high rise goes. So yeah, and I appreciate you being here. By the way, we were talking about it too. You've done content on every platform, but you're doing a ton of stuff on Facebook now. How does somebody find your content if they want to watch some of the most incredible edits ever?
I mean, they can find it on the TikTok at the Swagga Wagga, or you can just look me up on Facebook at Fletcher Denning, or Instagram at Fletch ELP. One of those.
even if you're not into high rise, the content is just insanely awesome. Like the reason that works for everybody, even that people that never clean windows, is because first off, they can't believe that you're hanging. Like they can see it, they can be it, they can experience it. But on the window cleaner side is they get an idea because you're talking the whole time. You're explaining things, or you're talking to somebody else about something. Like there's so much more content for somebody who knows window cleaning than there is for just people going, well, look at this guy hanging off the side of a building. I know where that building is.
It is, man, and that's one thing, I love. If like some of my friends that have been watching for a long time, and my favorite is I love all the support I get, but I love it from other window cleaners. And when I'll talk with them, and you'll see in the comments where they really watch the video, they hear like me and John talking about, the directions are changing this way, we got to slow it up, we got to change our pace right here and do this different. And you hear them being like, you can tell those guys know what they're doing, because they're on the side of the building and they're adjusting their work ethic or their plan for the day based on Mother Nature. You know what I mean? And it's just like seeing things like that and engaging with other people that come back, or comment. They're like, man, I was on this building one time and this happened. It's like, oh man, tell me about it. I want to know. Give me more. Like I love engaging with our community, and it's a really accepting community, man. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing and a wild ride.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you, the nuggets of information you put out there for everybody. I appreciate that your content is so good that people steal your content. I know you hate that, but like the idea, your content is so good. There's some weird, Taiwanese bot out there that steals your stuff.
He's humming it, dude. He posts like 4 or 5 videos a day. I can't even keep up with the guy.
Listen, though, that's kind of like, you got to be good for somebody to do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks, I know, but like, come on, that's kind of a pat on the back.
What do they say is, what is it? Something's the best form of flattery or something.
Yes,
I don't know, whatever that is.
Like copying you.
Yeah, something like that. So I guess I should just be thankful.
Well, at least he didn't have to copy you. He's not even copying you. He's just literally reduplicating your stuff.
He's just pretending to be me.
That's
not as bad. That's not as bad.
Yeah, no, gosh. Well, anyway, I appreciate it either way. If you guys got any questions or anything, really do look at the content. The content is insanely awesome. You're going to learn some things or two. And he is a veteran in this industry, so take his word to heart when it comes to training and everything else. I mean, if you want to get into high rise, that is on you. Do your due diligence and everything that goes along with that. But more importantly, get trained, because that part's incredibly important, in my opinion.
Safety saves lives, guys. There is no amount of money. There is no boss. There is no deadline. There is no job. There's nothing more important than you going home every day to the people you love. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing more important. So it's just like, for me, if what I'm doing different, if I save one life throughout my career, just by doing things different, or the fact that I influence someone to use this safety or get this training, then I've done something right, and I'm good with that. So just encourage people to do things better, guys. That's all I want.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys know the drill. I'm a rep for windowcleaner.com. If you need anything, give me a call, 862-312-2026. If you haven't gotten a subscription yet to the American Window Cleaner magazine, do that, because I own the magazine too, and it's absolutely amazing. So go to awcmag.com. Here's a sneak peek for the sticker sheets of this next month coming up. Get the subscription. Also, guys, if you're looking at getting a CRM, of course, Jobber is down in the description. 20% off of that, and also have a coupon for WCR Print, 15% off of that. So go do that. Do everything. If you're getting into high rise, awesome. Make sure to get trained, but more importantly, go out there and be epic.